The Lagos State government has announced plans to establish a DNA forensic laboratory in the state. Good news, you'd say. Well, when completed, Lagos will have the first ever high-powered DNA forensic center in Nigeria. According to the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Adeniji Kazeem, the center will enhance crime investigation on domestic and sexual violence cases, boost family and paternity proceedings, and help in identifying victims of natural and man-made disasters. Mr. Kazeem says the move is in fulfillment of the state government's commitment to justice sector reforms. The forensic laboratory is expected to take off before the end of the year.
The Lagos State Ministry of Justice, with the active support of His Excellency Governor Akin Miambode, will drive this initiative vigorously. The DNA Forensic Center will be called the Lagos State DNA Forensic Center, LSDFC, will fulfill an unmet need for DNA profiling, a forensic technique that is now used worldwide. DNA profiling is an extraction of DNA from body fluids, semen, nails, hair, and other DNA generic sources. This will controvert evidence of alibi and confirm physical presence of the suspect at the scene and the origin of DNA to the suspect. Specifically, the center will focus on DNA analysis to support the justice sector in diverse areas, including collection and preserving reference and evidentiary DNA, which can be later used in identifying criminals, decoding familial relationships of individuals, which could also be a tool for the judicial system, and C, identifying victims and remains after natural and man-made calamities. Even though the role of DNA in forensics, law enforcement, and the justice sector is well known globally, a high-powered DNA analysis center is not available in Nigeria. This means that most, if not all, DNA testing needs are performed outside Nigeria, a situation that leads to longer turnaround times and an overall higher cost of bringing closure to investigation and prosecution of crimes. The center will not only fulfill the growing DNA profiling needs of the judicial process, but could also become a revenue-generating center for the state by serving the public, other states, and neighboring countries.
Now moving on, the federal government insists that the cost of corruption goes beyond naira and dollars. What this means? Well, during his visit to Lagos State Governor Mr. Akin Miambode, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, said 40% of Nigerian children do not live up to the age of 5. He says the money that could have been used for the provision of healthcare services for Nigerian children and other amenities have been looted by corrupt public office holders. The Information Minister, however, lauded the efforts of Governor Ambode in the areas of security, infrastructure, and job creation.
Lagos State still remains the economic and financial hub for the country. It remains the most influential axis for information and media. And in terms of tourism and culture, it's unrivaled anywhere in the country. And there are things that Lagos State has done for culture and tourism which are not well, appreciated. The first requirement for tourism and culture to flourish is security. Because culture and tourism is about entertainment, it's music, it's films, art. A few years ago, all the entertainment centers used to close at 7 p.m. That was before Lagos State started the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, which has made Lagos State the safest city in Nigeria today. But why security is important, not just for tourism, even for the economy. But Lagos State, because it's always also led in terms of provision of infrastructure, has again blazed a trail in the setting up of the Blue Rail system. The Blue Rail line, I'm informed, will become operational by December 2016. This is going to be another first in the history of this country. Well, for those who are old enough, there used to be a tram system in Lagos. Foley, you were not around then, so don't shake your hand. You could only have read it about it. Now, but you can imagine what is going to happen to the economy in Lagos State when this blue line is completed. The blue line is going to do for tourism, not just in Lagos State, but in Nigeria as a whole. And if you now complement that with the 10-lane Badagry Expressway, which opens up to where we have one of the monuments and heritages in this part of Lagos, you can just imagine how many tourists will be able to drive and move to Badagry, to see the old slave trade centers and the like. So this is why I am in Lagos in particular to commend the Lagos State for the infrastructural development, which is going to aid tourism and culture all over Nigeria.
We're strongly committed to tourism infrastructure in Lagos. And when I say tourism infrastructure, I'm talking about security. We're talking about putting monuments together. We're talking about safety. We're talking about the Light Up Lagos project, in which allows people to move from one point to the other with ease. This infrastructure may not be connected together into culture and tourism, but when you put them together, you see that the ability of one person to move from one point to the other with ease allows for exchange. And we're more than ever committed to that. We're improving on allowing investors to come in and put in more hotels in Lagos. We just have only about 20,000 capacity room for hotels in Lagos against 22 million people, and also against all the tourists that will be coming in. So obviously there is so much space for new hotels, bars, restaurants to crop up in Lagos. And we're doing so much to accelerate that in the different areas of Lagos.
And finally, we bring you to the new relationship between the Lagos State government and Barcelona Football Club. The management of the team paid a visit to Governor Akeem Miambodi to fine-tune plans to establish Barcelona Football Academy in Lagos State. Governor Ambode said this was in keeping with his administration's commitment to develop sports activities in the state and as well as grow the gross domestic product of the state.
This is a historic moment for us. It's also a historic moment for Lagos State. And just like what the NFF chairman had said, we're just coming from the fallout of the successful hosting of the Lagos Marathon. And that also was just a major pointer to see how Lagos could actually, actualize its dream of improving the gross domestic product of the state using sports as a major instrument. So this visit by FC Barcelona is coming at a point where I believe strongly that we have nothing else to say than to say we are committed into this partnership, because we know that the partnership will give us the first FC Bescola in Africa. I am made to understand that there are 17 locations across the world where you have football academies by FC Barcelona, but there is none in Africa yet. So Lagos is priding itself as a major receptor of the next academy that we put in Africa. So we're very happy. I know basically that this creates a very good platform for youth development, for grassroots empowerment, and also for the value of sportsmanship. We share the same values with FC Barcelona, and was the respect, courage, humility, social integration, and also community service. So obviously, I just want to say you have our blessing, you have our go-ahead, whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that this thing starts as quickly as possible. As a government, you have our 100% support for it because it's in the interest of all of us. And also, just as a response to the NFF chairman, to say that you have my full support for the African Beach tournament that's coming up in December. Well, you know, once again, we cannot start to reiterate what sports means to total integration of development. It looks like it's sports, but more importantly, that's the future of the service that we're going to create for youth employment and youth engagement in Lagos. I believe so much that sports, entertainment, and arts can actually contribute together to lift Lagos and Nigeria in particular away from this whole bulwark of unemployment. And that's why this government will continue to support sports in its ramifications and ensure that we take our youth off the streets and make them physically engaged for now and then for the future itself.
And that's where we draw the curtains on this edition of the program. Please be security and health conscious. Report any suspicious activity or movement to law enforcement agents. Let the conversation continue on your social media platforms showing on your screen. I'll see you again, God willing, next week. I'm Loretta Chiogo. Bye-bye now.